Hey, all my Gemini friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your June 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Gemini, I'm talking about Gemini rising. This is also applicable to Gemini moon, Gemini sun. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Gemini, this video is applicable to you as well. When I talk about a day and a time, it's in the Pacific time zone. So please adjust for your location. And I will tell you verbally what house is being influenced by the planets, as I do not know how to make this stay on one particular rising sign without creating a false chart and doing a transit. And that's just too confusing. So at least it appears to be for me. So bear with me, Gemini. Here we go, because the month starts off with really a lovely energy. We see the South Node is making a trine to the activity up here in Gemini, which is basically mostly the Sun and Venus. We know that Jupiter has started its transit through your first house for the next year. Now, Jupiter is considered in detriment in Gemini because it's in the very furthest place away from its domicile or its rulership. And at the same time, Jupiter rules foreign travel, foreign places, foreign people, diversity, an interest in cultures and the various different religions and philosophies and ideologies. And here, what we see is Jupiter having an opportunity to experience all those things within the daily experience. The experiencing the minutia of the mind, the monkey mind, as well as the broad thoughts. Here, Jupiter is having an opportunity to apply all those big, broad concepts into the everyday experience. And this is very much supported by the sextile here to Neptune and the trine to Pluto. I say that because Neptune rules the spiritual, the divine laws of the universe. Here it is at the 29th degree, which reduces down to an 11. The 11 is the master number of thought. So here now we're being able to really decipher between illusion and fantasy and what is authentic to the soul and to the truth of what we want to experience. We have an opportunity to take these planets, Neptune and Jupiter, who both complement one another as they both co-rule Pisces. Pisces would be your 10th house, your 10th house of career. What do you want for yourself in the way of how people view you in the public eye? It also gives you an opportunity to experience this deep dive into the psychological imprint that you have been experiencing in this lifetime that could potentially have held you back. The challenging side of Gemini is overthinking, contemplating both sides of a story so much that it can be paralyzing. We also see that your ruling planet here on the first day of the month is making this joining Jupiter in this favorable aspect to Neptune. And I want to offer it this way, because this is not about judging or about villainizing maybe a lower dynamic, but seeing the wisdom of it, seeing how sometimes when we take a dip or we get stuck in a way of thinking, that actually is the propellant to move us forward. Here we see in your second house of money, of your self-worth as it was created by the family that you were born into. Your skills have all been going through a revolution, through a rebellion, wanting to be birthed out into the world. I'm sorry, did I say second house? 12th house. I should have said 12th house, because this is the ancestral dynamic. So you've been breaking up ancestral old patterns that have been, imprinted upon you. Now you have this ability and this opportunity to take your ruling planet and Jupiter's expansion and bring that into your everyday life by implementing your personal spiritual practices. For instance, I know a girl who used to run every morning, but rather than thinking of it as exercise, she thought of it as a daily meditation. So this is how the month starts. We also see that in your 11th house of Aries, Mars in its rulership has been having a quite intense conversation with Chiron. Chiron here is offering us an opportunity to see the wisdom of our individuality and how it doesn't have to separate us from the collective or from the couple or from the neighborhood. I say that because Gemini rules the neighborhood. It rules two things. It rules the twins. So it rules siblings and friends and social networks and teammates and roommates, all sorts of people that we interact with. So here there is an opportunity to look into your 11th house of the social groups, the causes that you invest your time into, and see if they really are aligned to what it is that you want as an individual. So this is a powerful way to start the month. Now we see on the 3rd, your ruling planet joins the party in your first house. This just feels social. It feels like there's a lot of conversation going on. It feels like there could potentially be interactions with your siblings, with female friends. There can be ideas that come to the forefront that you hadn't thought of before. I say that because Venus and the sun are in an exact conjunction, Venus ruling your skills, your self-worth, your money, your possessions, and the sun ruling your ambition and your drive and your light that you shine out into the world. This is making a favorable aspect to the South Node here in Libra. This plays to a sense of peace, a sense of harmony, a sense of balance. That's what I want to say, a sense of balance. This Libra is your 5th house of creativity, of self-expression of the child. So that feels really warm and fuzzy to me. And we're going to continue to see that Jupiter is going to be in a conversation with Pluto, really offering us an opportunity to broaden our thoughts about the future, the possibilities about the future, and give us an opportunity to maybe even slow down the swing between the Gemini contemplative mind, the this or the that, the pros and the cons, that kind of idea. I hope that made sense. Let's go on to the 6th, where we will see a new moon in your sign. This is happening at 5:37 a.m. Pacific time. And this is a really fabulous moon in your first house, as it is conjunct Venus. This could give you a lot of ideas about things that you want to implement, things that you want to create. This could make you feel very warm and fuzzy within your partnerships, setting intentions for nurturing and a co-creative experience of cooperation and love within your everyday life. But with the Venus energy here for you, particularly Gemini, it very much feels as if your eye could be on partnership. Again, we see this trine to the 5th house here of Libra, which represents partnership. It represents entertainment and fun and frivolity, and it's favored here. So that keep that in your mind when you're making your birthday plans. We also see a nice aspect between it's a few days later, but over the last few days since Mercury entered your first house, it's been making a trine to Pluto. So there's this combination of Pluto representing the deep psychology that imprints us that we don't even recognize on our conscious thoughts. But here, what we're seeing is some sort of awareness is coming to the forefront. Some sort of liberation is coming up as we see that the thoughts that have been holding us back could potentially be nurtured by the environments that we live in, by the people that we interact with, by the media that we watch. And there is an opportunity for a deciphering, a delineating, a discernment here. And Pluto is offering that in its retrograde back into Capricorn. And then it will make its full entry into Aquarius, and it will trine you for the next 20 years, giving you great opportunity to review, rewrite your belief system. what you want for yourself, what you believe is possible, and seeing that nurtured over time as it gets anchored into the I literally want to say into your everyday human experience, being able to decipher the difference and instead of going on the roller coaster, you're more driving the roller coaster now. You're looking at the duplicity of your thoughts, of the things you contemplate, and instead of feeling pulled from one end to another, you're feeling it's a piece of information that's giving you a better vision to make a clear choice. That's what I think this is. And this new moon is planting the seeds for that experience. This new moon is at the Cancerian degree, which is naturally your second house. The second house rules your family history, your skills, your voice. Now we overlay the Cancerian energy of nurturing and healing and of self-care. Yes, we see the mother represented here. We also see there's the potential that you could start to want to put some sort of, I don't know why I want to put it this way, but I feel almost as if you may want to start putting some money away to either fix up your home or to upgrade your home or maybe even purchase your own home. That's just something random that came, but again, we're planting the seeds for a new experience. Let's go on to the 9th, where we will see Mars enter your 12th house. So here we see Mars is at the 0 degree of Taurus, and this is on the heels of a very tense conversation in your 11th house of hopes and dreams and wants and desires and things that are nurtured over time for the self. Here, I think, could be a little bit of a challenging time as Mars makes quite a strong square to Pluto retrograde. Something is going to be revisited. Aries is your natural 11th house. Pluto is naturally transiting Aquarius, which is the 11th house. So here there's a feeling of digging deep into what has power and control over me, where potentially history has repeated itself in my inability to take action because I feel some sort of tethered to some sort of history that's of expectation potentially. We see here that Saturn, on the day that Mars moves into your 12th house, Saturn is in your 10th house, making a square aspect to Venus and the Sun. So this could have something to do with money. Literally, it could have something to do with your siblings, a female sibling potentially. And history repeating itself and feeling almost like when will this ever stop? And I want to focus it like this and say it stops when you stop giving life to it mentally. And I think that might be part of the argument between, I hate to say it, but it feels like an argument between Mars and Pluto. They both co-rule Scorpio, but at the same time, this is where they take no prisoners, because this is where the planets say, what excuses are you making about that your story is holding you back? Your story is only holding you back as long as you tell it. That's what those planets are saying. That's why they're a little bit hard sometimes. Okay, they can be hard a lot of times, especially if you're unconscious. Let's go to the 12th, where we're going to see a conjunction between Mercury, the Sun, and Venus. And this is going to go on for quite a few days until the 16th. So this is while it presents a square to Saturn in your 10th house, there's a potential that something is going on. I've been feeling ever since Saturn entered your 10th house, Gemini, I've been feeling there's potential for career restructuring, that somehow maybe your career has gotten rote or it's become too routine. It's not mentally stimulating enough for you. And if anybody needs mental stimulation, it's Gemini. You know, you're curious, you're naturally playful, you're naturally want to experience new and exciting things. So here, there could be a real pull as we see this conjunction making a square to Saturn. Now, at the same time, because everything is happening in layers, we're seeing that Jupiter is making a favorable aspect to Pluto. So somehow your belief system is being rewritten, and potentially your ability to make money to facilitate this shift within your career or within your public status or within potentially the 10th house rules so much of what other people see in us. You know, when we go from single to married, they see a change in our status. When we go from childless to child, being a parent, they see a change in our status. This could represent older people having authority over you, Gemini. But at the same time, it feels historic. So it could be something that is an imprint. We're still feeling the square between Mars and Pluto, and that's going to continue to dig deeper into any histories that are anchoring you into a lower vibration than what Jupiter's offering you in its blossoming. Now, I think I mentioned it, but just in case I didn't, I know Jupiter's in detriment in Gemini, but Jupiter is a natural traveler. So wherever Jupiter goes, it's going to want to explore and to experience the diversity of it. So here now Jupiter is exploring the diversity of the human mind and how the human mind runs sometime amok. It's also giving Jupiter an opportunity to get down into the the air underneath the clouds and to feel what it's like to actually live in the human experience, and have to apply those big ideologies and those huge concepts that sound great on paper, but they're not always easy to implement while we're trying to pay the bills, feed our children, live our lives, and thrive. So this is pretty powerful. On the 17th, we're going to see Mercury and Venus move into Cancer, your second house. Now, they are starting this quincunx to Pluto. It's a blind spot where the planets don't actually see how they're potentially getting in each other's way. Cancer naturally rules the fourth house. Here it's ruling your second house. The second house has that imprint of family history, of how it affected our self-worth, our feelings about our abilities to create resources. And while it moves into your second house and it makes this quincunx, there could be potentially things that come up that have you having to put all your chips in on what you know about yourself intuitively versus what others have experienced from you materially. Sort of like when you start your own business or something and you tell people, oh, I'm going to start my own business. And they're kind of like, aren't there hundreds of people doing that? Or, everybody has an opinion. So I would be mindful about that. Again, Aquarius, the overlay here is your hopes and your desires, your dreams, and how they mature over time. Now, overall, I think that Venus loves being in Cancer. It's very warm and fuzzy. Mercury, it's not bad in here either. So overall, this feels pretty good. We see that, the sun is going to join them shortly, and the planets are starting to separate a little bit. So the feelings of the energies are dispersing a little bit. We're not getting that conjunction, 1-2 punch of this fusion of strong energy. We're going to see on the 21st, we're going to see our first full moon. It's going to be at 6:07 p.m. in Capricorn. And I say first because it's a series of 2 full moons that will happen this month. And it will rebalance or recalibrate the moon cycle. Last year, we experienced, I believe it was 2 full new moons. I think it was new moons. I should really check that again, but in Aries. And when we did that, it threw the cycles into the full moon being the first half of the month and the new moon being the second half of the month, where traditionally it's the other way around. So when we see the second full moon in Capricorn, we're going to go back into the cycle of the new moon and full moon. This is significant because over this period of time, that full moon in the beginning of the month was giving us an opportunity to see a big picture, to have clarity, a spotlight on something, so that when we planted the seed in the new moon, we had a wee bit more information. Now we're going to see ourselves having to go back to a more intuitive planting of the seeds with the new moon. So here you see that the moon is here at 1 degree of Capricorn, and the sun is over here in its opposition. We see that the sun is in square to Neptune. So this could bring up some sort of illumination about where I've been hiding myself, where I have not, seeing my full potential. Again, Pisces is your 10th house, Gemini. And here, this is offering you an opportunity to apply spiritual concepts in your everyday life and claim your creativity, claim your talents and your skills. But it may not be easy because of how you have been working up until now. Could be appear to be in a different lane or counterintuitive. And one of the things I think is important is not letting other people's opinions get in the way of what you want. We also see that Venus is involved here. So there could be some sort of illumination and some sort of epiphany that you haven't even seen your greatness in such a long time. And or maybe you've been standing in a place where you've been having to be, worrying more about your everyday survival or activities or errands or even taking care of kids. I'm not sure, depending upon your chapter of life, but there's some sort of illumination here about you being able to restructure your self-care and the things that are important for you. And many ways, I think it has a lot to do again with your career. I think Saturn is trying to bring in a strong sense um, of structure in a new dynamic, and also offering rewards as you persevere through the back and forth energy a bit. Now we're going to go to the 29th, where we're going to see Saturn retrograde. This is going to happen on the 29th at 19 degrees, 26 minutes. And it's going to retrograde all the way back to 12 degrees, 42 minutes. We are currently in the shadow period of that. So there's going to be a real opportunity for you to look at how you want. I want to put it this way, because there's something about job change. There's something about either an elevation of the job or something that's more dreamy or something that's more aligned to your talents, your skills. And now it's about really allowing for the journey of birthing that. And I love the way that this retrograde starts with an aspect that's very strong to Venus. And Venus is an exact sextile to Mars. So there's this opportunity to really look at where my fears are, where I have up until now maybe, not seen my greatness. And now I just get to take baby steps. This 15-degree Mars and the 15-degree Venus is the Gemini degree. The 19 degrees where Saturn is starting its retrograde is the balancing degree of Libra, the partnership degree between the male part of yourself and the female part of yourself, and sort of allowing an intuitive, this could be your twins, understanding that you have an intuitive side and then you have an action side, and they work in tandem through your inspired thoughts, through your inspired actions. And that's evidenced through the Neptune dynamic. Right now, Neptune is starting to make an exact trine to Mercury. Mercury's going to book right through this month of through Cancer this month. And I also want to point out that there's going to be over a 10-year transit, a sextile between Pluto and Neptune, as we dig deep into the human print of our psychological fears, the power and control others have over us because we've been trained to. And as we connect more clearly and with more intention to the spiritual, the higher self, the part of us that lives outside the body, we will become powerful co-creators, not only for our freedom, but for representing the possibilities of what can be and what can be manifested on this earth. We see a nice sextile between Neptune and Uranus right now. Uranus is in your 12th house, offering you an opportunity to liberate yourself from an old story, an old story that worked at one point, but it's not really allowing you the full birth of the future. So it's going to be, well, the whole year is action packed. And I think when Jupiter moves out of your first house, Gemini, everything you garnish this year, between now and June of 2025 will be then, I feel like it'll flourish in when Jupiter moves into your second house, where it is exalted in Cancer. That's going to be I think that's going to be a very warm and loving time for those of us that have planted our seeds and been patient and been understanding with the gestation process, that it is a lot about nurturing the unseen, spending time thinking about that we want, not the things that we don't want, and not being aware of the obstacles that our mind puts in front of us versus what's standing in our physical experience. Okay, that's it for my Geminis for June 2024. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. If you want to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description. And I'll be back in July with your monthly forecast. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and please comment. And have a great June. See you soon. Bye, Gemini.